every corner of the multiverse, there are stories buried so deep that even the gods fear remembering them. And one of those stories begins here, on a silent plain where time itself had begun to rot, where the wind carried echoes of futures that never came to pass, and the earth trembled with memories that did not belong to this world. Naruto, older, scarred, and burdened by decades of battles, walked alone across the crimson dust. He was no longer the boy who ran through the forests of Konoha, no longer the reckless genin who charged headfirst into danger. He was a man shaped by victories and broken by losses. A man who had watched the world rise and fall more times than a mortal should have endured. Yet his steps remained steady, each one echoing with the weight of a lifetime spent trying to protect others. Each one carrying him deeper into a place where time, destiny, and memory had collapsed into a single impossible landscape. Above him, the sky shivered like a living organism. A golden scar flickered across the heavens, ripping reality apart inch by inch. It pulsed like a dying star, sometimes bright, sometimes fading, yet always watching. And somewhere behind that fracture, something ancient stirred. Naruto stopped. He felt the air thicken, felt the cold rise from the soil, felt the chakra of the world itself recoil in fear. It was a sensation he had not felt in decades, a presence so immense that even the bravest warriors would kneel under its weight. Then, slowly, gracefully, terribly, Kaguya emerged from the rift. Her figure drifted downward like a falling moon. Her pale hair flowed behind her like strands of frozen light. Her eyes, timeless and merciless, glowed with a memory older than the world itself. But there was something else in them too. Something Naruto had never seen before. Something like recognition. The wind died, the valley went silent, and for a moment even time itself refused to move. Naruto raised his head, meeting her gaze without fear. He had faced gods before, but this time was different. This was not the Kaguya he had sealed long ago. This was a Kaguya shaped by countless timelines, molded by the suffering of worlds that never survived. A version of her that had watched universes collapse and learned nothing from their fall, except the inevitability of loss. Yet Naruto was not here to judge her. He was here to save someone far more fragile, far more important. Her children, those who, in countless timelines, carried the burden of her sins. Children born into hatred, conflict, and darkness, when none of it had ever been their choice. Naruto took another step. The ground cracked beneath his sandals. The air trembled as if resisting his presence. But he stood firm. Not as a hero, not as a legend, but as a man who refused to let history repeat its darkest chapters. Visions began to swirl in the sky above, fractured memories from timelines long erased. In one, Naruto saw a version of himself still young, still hopeful, still running through the forests with dreams too big for his small body. In another, he saw battles that never happened, wars that devoured nations before they had time to grow, faces he had never met, crying out for help he could never give. He closed his eyes. The weight of these shattered futures pressed against him like a mountain, but even beneath it, he did not break. The divine tree rose behind him, massive, petrified, yet somehow still breathing. Its roots pulsed with ancient chakra. Its trunk groaned like an ancient beast, awakening from centuries of slumber. It was the heart of every tragedy that had ever rippled across the shinobi world, the symbol of humanity's oldest wound. Kaguya drifted toward it, her expression momentarily softening. A flicker of pain crossed her face, barely visible, yet unmistakable. Because even a goddess remembers the children she failed to protect. Even a mother remembers the future she never allowed to bloom. Naruto watched her in silence, not with hatred, not with vengeance, but with a compassion forged through decades of loss. A compassion only someone who had suffered enough could truly understand. Storm clouds gathered overhead. Lightning tore across the sky in jagged silver lines. The ground began to shake violently as the timelines around them destabilized. Yet Naruto took another step forward, slow, deliberate, unyielding. He had traveled across worlds, through cracks in reality, guided by one truth, that even the darkest fate could be rewritten if someone had the courage to reach into the heart of it and pull. The sky shattered again, revealing rivers of glowing energy spiraling into the void. Fragments of memories rained down around them, tiny shards of lives that never were. Each one felt warm when they touched Naruto's skin. Each one whispered a story of friendships that blossomed and broke, of lovers who met and lost each other, of children who never got the chance to grow. Naruto tightened his fists. He had failed too many worlds already. He would not fail another. The wind rose sharply, carrying with it the cries of countless versions of the past. Kaguya turned toward him fully now, her expression unreadable. But the uncertainty remained in her eyes, like a single crack in a wall of ice. Naruto breathed deeply. His chakra flared, golden, ancient, calm. It flowed around him not like a raging storm, but like a flame that had survived countless winters without ever extinguishing. The air around him warmed, the sky brightened. Time itself seemed to slow, as if giving him the chance to speak across the gaps of infinite realities. His voice remained steady, not loud, not forceful, but resolute. The voice of a man who had spent his entire life walking through the ruins of destiny, yet still believed in the possibility of healing. The world trembled in response. The divine tree pulsed violently. The cracks in the sky widened, showing glimpses of universes that had been lost to despair. Yet in the center of that chaos stood Naruto, older, wiser, unbreakable. And as the storm grew, as the shadows of forgotten timelines crawled across the valley, as Kaguya's power resonated through every corner of existence, Naruto did not waver, because this was not the end of his story. It was only the beginning of a new one, a story not of war, but of healing, not of destruction, but of redemption, not of endings, but of futures waiting to be reborn. And so, at the edge of a collapsing universe, the last great battle for tomorrow began.